without further ado, I am really pleased that I managed to persuade Anna Valtonen to come from I know how busy the Aalto Foundation is. They have meetings several times a year, and they are big agenda items. And Anna's been a board member at Aalto now. It's the fourth year? Fourth year. I know Anna from many years back. She was at the School of Art and Art and Design for many years. Nokia for 12 years. In the Foresight area, Nokia Ventures Organization. And most recently now, rector of Umeå Design University, Design School in Sweden. This intersection between the world of design and entrepreneurship, I think, is one of the most cutting-edge areas to explore.
This is a picture from the 1950s of a lecture hall. But I think this sort of image of what the classical university education is still sort of prevails somewhere, even though we can laugh at this picture from the 50s. There's still this paradigm about sort of, the classical teaching models. And that's really what we wanted to break, because what we felt as designers was that our natural way of working was quite different. It was all about sort of trying to get the ideas, and the ones that we talked about in the beginning, the prototyping, the reflection, the teamwork, all of that. How can you, if we say that we can think of the future, can't we do that with our own stuff? Not think about companies' futures or nations' futures, but maybe actually prototype our own education in different ways. So that's what all this project was about. But the first time we set out doing it, the idea was that we could prototype and invite the top world's people in the areas we think are developing. We could develop 1 week courses in something, and we could try it out and see if it worked, and then have some material to work based on that. So the first step was really to use all the people we had around us. What do we believe is the new thing? What's happening? What is the future? Then quite soon, the next step of that process was really to realize, okay, so if we can't exactly define what those are, at least we can identify individuals who we believe burn for something. And we can include those in the process and take them as part of it, and to develop that 1 week course. And in a sense, sort of give them the leeway to say that we know that you're cool, we know that your area is growing. What would your ideal teaching or sort of educational experience be if you could call it the game and if you could develop it? The whole point of it was to create a material, like in prototyping, a prototype, which you could then make strategic decisions based upon. So you would have something that you could talk about, you would have the shared experience of those people who participated, and then you would have something concrete to start going into strategic discussions. Is this where we want to go in the future? Is it not where we want to go into the future? And so on. And I think we've developed this concept since, so it actually proved that in that sense, it works. See, because what happened was that everyone, the only sort of reason for people to participate was that after it, everyone had to do a reflection paper of how did this develop them as a professional, and how could this be used strategically? Should the school do this in further developments? And we could quite easily see that the new skills, were typically chosen by people who are very close to graduating. So having the newest of skills is something that people tend to do when they need to get a job.
Wonderful. Questions from the floor? I'll run around here. Yeah. Hang on one moment, I'll get the microphone in front of you.
Actually, I have a question about the project and the participants, because for now it's been already a few years when it's on. So what is a feedback from the participants, especially from students, after the workshop, the classes with you? What do they think about it? What are their opinions and their feelings?
Yeah, that was to me as well, that was a very good experience to learn all of that. I think their feedback was on several levels, because we actually asked their feedback both on how did they develop as professionals individually, and then what should the school learn from it. And actually they also needed to write, when they applied for these courses, for the ones that we knew would be overly filled, it was actually their motivation letters, which meant that we chose a good mix of people for each of the courses. So they already had to think about it in advance. What many people had reflected about was that it really made them forced them to think about, who am I as a professional? What's my, like Peter's question when we started, what am I good at? Where do I want to go deeper? What is it that I actually want to position myself from in relation to everyone else? So typically, I think that was what most of them thought about. Then they, of course, had different feedback about the individual course that they had. Many of them also reflected on the structure itself. So everyone, I don't think I had a single one where anyone opposed to having a week of actually mixing beyond years and beyond education. So it was actually, I think, and now I'm talking as a rector, of course, but I think it was quite good in creating a school spirit, in getting everyone to feel that we're part of one school rather than part of a program or part of a year or whatever other way you'd want to group people. So that one was quite... then I think the third one that was also, virtually everyone said that they appreciated the possibility that they actually developed the school, not some abstract leadership somewhere.